Welcome. My name is Eric Anderson. I am chair of the Conference Council and also pastor of Church of the Holy Cross UCC in Hilo. And so glad that you could come out this evening for this workshop, which is a dual-purposed workshop. We're going to spend roughly half our time, or so we hope, on the conference budget, or rather the proposed budget that will be acted upon on Saturday. And then the other half of the time, we will talk about a resolution that was introduced in response to recent events proposed by Central Union Church, and that is a reaction to gun violence. So there'll be more about that. The idea is to begin our conversation about that resolution at 6 o'clock. But if there's still a lot of questions to be answered about the budget, then we'll defer that for as short a time as we can. Well, let's move on since we do have a lot to talk about, and I'll introduce the chair of the administration missional team, Woody Kita, to talk about the budget. Woody?
Thank you, Pastor Eric. I want to acknowledge the conference staff and foundation staff who helped develop, well, actually they developed the PowerPoint that we'll be using for the presentation. It does make it easier to understand from my viewpoint. So why don't we go ahead and start the PowerPoint. So this will be an overview, a quick overview of the proposed budget for fiscal year 2023. If you want to follow the budget or look at these figures later, they are a part of your Aha Pae āina handouts. And for example, this view is actually lines 1 to 16 in what you received in your packet. Okay, let me go ahead and start. So the first is the restricted and custodial funds. You see an increase there, but this increase is perceived as a safe draw amount from the corpus. Now, let me give a brief definition of corpus. The corpus is the money or property that is set aside to provide income for a named beneficiary, and we are the beneficiary in this situation. And the safe draw is a withdrawal from the corpus that does not negatively affect the long-term health of the corpus. So the $193,000, although there is an increase, this is considered a safe draw. Moving down to events and programs, we see an increase here. We're anticipating some funds for a travel pool from the General Synod. That's a piece of that increase. Going further down to Friends of the Conference. We are keeping that at $35,000 as a projection. Now, next is Hawaii Conference Foundation distribution. And this is a significant part of our budget. There is a increase of $152,300 for this, and this falls within a 6.5% anticipated draw. Now, this is a significant amount, but a lot of this will be offset because of the projected move from the current conference office and also inflation, and we'll look at that later. Services and fees are essentially the same, going down to our church's wider mission. There are significant changes there, and we will come back to this, so hold on to that. And if you look at the other figures, special offerings, again, a slight dip, but the others are essentially what the current budget is. We do not anticipate any significant changes there. Now, looking at the bottom again, if you look at the less OCCWM remitted to national, That's a significant drop, and we will address that right after this. Okay, now let's go back to OCWM. If you look at OCWM, it's a $50,000 drop. If you look at the top part as in revenue, because we've been tracking the OCWM donations year to year, and this is what the projection is. And correspondingly, if you look at the remittance in the lower part, there is a significant drop. But let's look at it a little more in detail at this. Okay, between 2000 and 2001, the conference board of directors voted to increase the OCWM percentage amount remitted to the national setting by 2% every year until it reached a 50-50 split. Each year since then, the percentage to national increased by 2% until it reached the 50% split in fiscal year 2013. In order to maintain the 50% split and cover budget deficit, additional draws were made against the corpus, and these actions were approved by the council. For fiscal year 2023, the administration missional team is recommending that the percentage of OCWM retained by the conference be changed to 65% and to remit 35% to the national, with the caveat that the council revisit increasing the national portion by 1% each year until it reaches 50% again. At the United Church of Christ, there is a Still Speaking Partners program, which is a revenue stream for the national church setting, which allows individuals to contribute directly to the national budget with the blessing of the Hawaii Conference. The conference has agreed to work with Andrew Warner, the optics head, which is the Office of Philanthropy, Technology, Identity, and Communication at the national office in this program. Okay, why are we making this recommendation? In general, increase in general cost. I guess now with inflation hitting us nationally, this is even more evident. Additional expenses associated with the biennial General Synod and AM 21 that brings the Association Committee on Ministries, conference staff, and UCC staff together to raise questions and seek common solutions to support authorized ministers and committees on ministry. Expenses associated with moving the conference office. Anticipated decrease in OCM giving by about $50,000. Living into that 7-year plan to reduce the draw from the endowment to 4.5%, and also seeking to honor primary missional connections. Okay, we're looking at a breakdown of the different budget parts. In your conference, the Aha handouts, these are lines 21 to 36. So general administration generally reflects fees increase for supplies and the anticipated move. Going down to mission coordination, General Synod, which will be in person this year, is a significant portion of this increase. Administrative salaries and benefits, again, a big jump. This represents that the associate conference minister's salaries is now projected for the year. In the prior year, it was only for part of the year. And also increases in health insurance cost and also modest increases for staff. We've completely removed the CM and ACM searches. The Conference Minister Fund remains the same, and so also partners. Staff travel is increasing with relaxation of COVID restrictions. You'll see more staff travel to provide direct support to our churches, and also some of our committees and council may have limited face-to-face meetings now that travel may be permitted. Church and ministry increase is related to the comm training and AM21. The emergency response team is the same. This is kind of just in case expense item that may be needed. And of course, the administration missional team, this is the administrative cost related to the team's work. Okay, office rent, fees, and insurance. This is a significant jump. And this is where a large portion of the foundation draw is covering. So this will include the rent, the common area maintenance fee, moving, and related expenses. So the administration team total is a large chunk, and usually because of these large budget items of $1,244,755. OCCWM, the Stewardship Missional Team. In your AHA materials for the budget, these are lines 38 to 46. So if you see, the budget items are essentially the same, except for the Stewardship Missional Team, which projects increasing events and training with the reducing of COVID restrictions. So their budgeted amount is 71,275. Let's give a hand to the formation missional team who planned this Aha Pae āina, and this is one of the major tasks that they take on during the year. So hats off to the formation team. Now their budget is exactly the same as it was last year. Again, a lot of the items here and in the other teams were not followed up on because of the continued COVID restrictions. But for the projected year, they are anticipated no change in their budget. Next slide, please. Justice and Witness Missional Team. This team also anticipates no changes in their budget for this year. And how exciting, a new missional team for the conference, innovation and engagement. So this is a new missional team. This line item 69 in your AHA handout. And this is anticipating that the AHA will approve and recognize the new missional team. And this allocation is to get that team started. So what does this all mean? Okay, this is not in your handout, but this is portions of the budget put together to show that we have a balanced budget. This is the first time in 3 years, if you look at the bottom line. So if we pass this budget, we will have a balanced budget for the coming year. Questions?
Okay, we have a question here. What is the difference between the safe draw from the restricted custodian funds, and what are those funds and where do they live? And the trying to be safe draw from the foundation?
Okay, I'm gonna call on Nan.
You want me to take that one? Okay. So the safe draw for the restricted custodial funds is coming from about 6 funds, the biggest of which is the Mission Memorial Fund. All of these funds live within the foundation, and we calculate the safe draw, which is between 4.5% and 5%. So that's made up of, like I said, about 6 funds. I like how this person put it, they're trying to be safe draw from the foundation. Yes, the foundation is trying to get to a safe draw, but I think as of last year, it was a 7-year plan. So we are working our way down. So it is at, the budgeted draw is at about 6.56%. It was about 6.82, I believe, last year. Did that answer? Oh, what is the question? Did that answer? Trying to be safe draw. Yeah, so yeah, the safe draw is from the custodial restricted funds. We are working towards the safe draw in the foundation draws.
So Nan, may I ask a question, or hopefully I'll clarify? These restricted custodial funds are under the control of the conference?
Yes, but held it, yeah.
So that these
they are on the conference's balance sheet, if you will.
Okay, thank you.
Once the existing conference office is sold, will the net be used to first pay back the conference operating budget for footing the bill for the cost of the move before putting the rest of the net proceeds into the Hawaii Conference Foundation to grow the funds?
Want me to take this one too?
Yes, Nan.
Okay, so just to clarify, so when Woody was going through the revenue and expense budget, on the revenue side, you saw 781,300 in revenue. So that includes the cash distributions, which is about 48,000 a month, which totals 576,000. So that's we're drawing upon our funds. 183,300 is the new anticipated rent, cam, parking, moving expenses, and then 22,000 in insurance. So you'll see the same total, the 183 plus 22,000 in the expense side. So in essence, it's a wash on the conference side. You'll see it in revenue and you'll see it in expense. So there's no reason to actually pay back the conference. Basically, the foundation is paying. We're just including the revenue and the expense so that the conference could see a more full budget. We wanted to show what the actual operating expenses were.
How can you budget for the move and rent when you don't know where you are going?
Well, the budget is what we anticipate at the time that we created the budget. So we had somewhat quotes for potential spaces. We can't sign anything yet because we haven't gotten the signed sale agreement. So before we can actually commit to any lease or rents, we have to wait till we know that the building will be sold.
Are the missional teams still viable, or have you determined which ones have lived out its usefulness?
I'm not sure who can answer this at this point, since we are in a budget discussion, and I'm not aware of any current assessment, active assessment. David, maybe.
We have, somebody help me, all right, we have the formation missional team that puts on the Aha Pae, puts on the ministers or pastoral leadership retreats, puts on at this point the church leaders event, viable. We have Justice and Witness. Last night, we saw a wonderful workshop from them, Viable. We have the administration missional team, which works through our budget and some other pieces, Viable. And now we're adding the innovation and engagement missional team, which did a workshop earlier today, Viable.
Thank you, David.
We don't have any more questions at this time.
I think there might be just one that just popped up in the chat.
Yes, there is. Being shut down for a couple of years, did this not help stabilize your books? Do we see the actual spendings?
I'm not sure how to answer this question. We were never, well, we've been still going to work. So yes, COVID did help limit some of the expenses. But still, trying to get to the safe draw, it will take time, at least on the foundation side. We put in place factors to try and get us to the safe draw. Stabilize, we still have operating expenses. We still need to maintain the building. We still need to operate. So I don't think our books are unstable. Do we see the actual spendings? I'm not sure the we is, but certainly I do monthly reports that are given to the council. So everyone does have I don't know if everyone, but there is someone looking at it at least monthly.
Looks to me like we have gone through the questions related to the budget. So thank you, Woody. Thank you, Nan. Thank you, David, for responding to those and for the presentations. And also I need to thank Lori because she is the original creator of the slideshow that Woody was using. So many thanks to all of them. We're now going to move on to the resolution against gun violence.